Muito obrigado, Alexandre, pela introdução. So now let's switch in English, please. So we will force ourselves to speak slowly and clearly, okay? So again, Theo, welcome to our community and thank you so much for being with us today. It's a pleasure. So before to start the interview, we usually do a portrait chinois in French, a Chinese portrait in English. And the idea is very simple, is to ask a question using an analogy, okay? And today, I would like to ask you a question which is related to your current company. So, if you were a snack, okay, which one would that be and why?
I'm Ale, Lilian, thank you for the invitation. Really happy to be here and have this chat with you guys. If I would be a snack, I think I would be what we call a bonbon box in Brazil, a lacta bonbon box, which has many kinds of flavors for every situation and for many usages. The bonbon lacta bonbon box, you have products that you eat yourself, you have products to share, you have products to use in a certain occasions. So I think I match a lot myself with that, because as a human being we have different roles in life, and I think it should be versatile is important for us.
Sure, I like your answer. It's correct. I like it. Good. Thank you so much for this game. So great. So Theo, the floor is yours now. Okay. So I saw you have a rich career so far, but if you have to summarize your resume, your professional career in 5 or 10 minutes, what should we know about you?
Okay, about my career. I'm always tried to be what we call a complete professional. What do I mean about that? I'm trying to be a professional who is capable of leading many areas within a company, and also is always trying to look what's coming next in the future. And that's how I end up into e-commerce, technology, and digital job right nowadays. So my background mainly as a person, I had always been a very curious person about the future, about stuff. I always want to know about everything. I practiced martial arts since I was 5 or 4 years old. I almost went to Olympics, by the way, but I didn't go because my mom died by the same year that I was in the Olympic team, and I decided to quit. I was not in a good moment in my life, but I always bring to me the martial arts and the Olympic spirit into my life, which talks about discipline, always improving yourself, always trying to reach new goals, and so on. And in this sense, that's why my whole career I work in so many areas. I work in marketing with big brands like Axi, deodorant, like Hexona, deodorant, Hellmann's, mayonnaise. In China, I used to lead some deodorant brands from Unilever there. I used to work at trade marketing, which is much more compelled than working on inside of the store. When you go to the store, whatever you see there is a trade marketing strategy. And I worked with the Omo brands, for example. And I went to sales to understand how to negotiate with customers, how to work on pricing, how to deal with margin. So for that, I sold a lot of chocolates, a lot of candies, a lot of bubble gums. And then for one moment in my life, I tried to switch and totally different to a new business. So that's when I left food companies like Unilever or hygiene company like Unilever and Mondelēz, and I went to Duratex, which is not an international company, it's a national company. It belongs to Atuou group, called Itaúsa. And there I was in charge of developing marketing and trade marketing in this new field where more talk about toilets, pipes, a totally different market from what I had in that time. It was an amazing experience. In this segment where we talk about home appliances, the digital is very much connected with it, right? You choose your home, your furniture, your wall by Instagram, by Pinterest. So the digital process is very much connected to this market, and that's why I end up being very focused and leading now e-commerces or digital capabilities or technology businesses with a within Duratex and also at Mondelēz now. In this spirit, I always had entrepreneurship spirit in my mind, and I always like to do volunteer work. So that's why when I applied for Chinese government to live abroad, I want to live abroad, and I want to take 1 year off my life to do whatever I wanted, which was do volunteer work. And then I got a scholarship from Chinese government where I could study and learn the Chinese culture for a year. And afterwards, I decided to not go back to Brazil and decided to stay in China. And in China, I stayed for 4 years and a half, working first 1 year off doing just volunteer work or doing small jobs just to have fun and learning new skills. After I went to Unilever, and then my last year in China, I quit Unilever and I opened a startup, which was much focused on export. And I met my wife over there as well. She's a Brazilian woman, and I met her there. But then, the same way that I had to quit Olympics, do it to my mom. My father had cancer. I had to sell my part of the company in China and come back to Brazil and support my family. And that's how I came back, and that's what I'm doing now. Digital technology, entrepreneur spirit, and that's it. That's a little bit about myself.
A lot of things, a lot of things. Thank you so much for your presentation. Okay, so let's start our little interview. Okay, and I would like to start this interview about to talk about this actual crisis. Okay, so as you know, many economic sectors have been affected by this pandemic. Okay, no matter what type of companies, startups and multinationals, you know. For Mondelēz, what has been decided to unfold to try to overcome this crisis? What was your strategy?
For us was the pandemic moment was hit Mondelēz revenues very, very hard. So you guys know Mondelēz in Brazil is a 6 billion business where 70% of our revenues are attached to small retail, small stores that you have in the neighborhood. And imagine that when the pandemic came up, no one could go out. So no one was going to the bars, restaurants. And this hit really strong our business. And the COVID arrived really in between February to March last year. And in February to March in Brazil, we have a very strong moment that's called Easter. And 100% of our Easter eggs were already in the stores, and many stores were closed to the COVID, or many people not going to the store due to the COVID. And even worse, we didn't know if people were going to buy Easter eggs during Easter, because we didn't know if people were going to be compelled or willing to celebrate Easter in the moment that everybody was talking about COVID, and many deaths were coming on. So the crisis hit us very deep in our hearts. and we had to change the way we were looking at things by that time. Luckily, the company was already thinking about reveal the way we work as a governance. So one thing that we changed is, let's look at consumers' behaviors now. So consumers change the way they consume media, consumers change the way they buy, consumers change the way they connect with each other. So one thing that we did very strongly was put e-commerce and digital as a priority in the company. And that was my role, right? That's why I came up to the company at Mondelēz here to lead e-commerce. Our main challenge is, first, we have to make sure that every consumer in the world, in Brazil, actually, in my case, but in the world, if they want to have a snack, they should be able to reach and buy one and get one as fast as he can. And so we did a whole new strategy, connecting with iFood, connecting with our website. We create a Lacta store. We did our media campaigns were driving consumers to online stores, and also we changed the whole communication we had. The brand has a purpose. Lacta brand has a purpose of connecting people, right? So the way we did with everything we communicated to consumers, you could find a QR code, a website, or a link where you could buy something for someone else. And the interesting thing was that we found out that consumers really celebrated Easter by COVID time. And not only because of was Easter itself, but it's because they were really, it was, I think, the first time in the last 50 or 100 years that consumers could not gather with their family to have a proper meal with family in Easter. So the only way they could share a little bit of emotion or connect with families and friends were through sending gifts. And Easter egg was an important gift during Easter. So those are kind of some of examples we did of shifting the business. So e-commerce present everywhere. Second, we should change our communication much more attached to the channels where consumers were connecting. So we spend more on TV because consumers were watching more TV again. We focus on digital. We stop using what we call out of home channels like outdoor, like something like this. And also we always try to help consumers to connect with them through our brands. So that's what we did, and that's how we got out. So as a consequence, we are now Brazil e-commerce at Mondelēz reached, we were like above 20th in the ranking, Mondelēz global ranking, and now we are the 5th biggest country in e-commerce at Mondelēz in the world. So that's a little bit of how Mondelēz work. Think fast, change, adapt it to consumers, and make sure that every consumers could reach a snack anytime, anywhere.
Good. Yeah. Very interesting. Thank you. And I would like to make a link with another topic about the customer experience. So as you said, now the digital is a priority. We got a great acceleration of digitalization of all the sectors now with this crisis. So physical shop have to change their strategies and be open to try a new strategy, online strategy. What is the impact about the customer experience? Do you think that now we miss something or no?
The shopping behavior of consumers changed dramatically.
Yeah.
So if you see food aggregators, apps, for example, they are connected with more than 90% of the population. So 90% of the population buy or bought a food in iFood or Happy or Corner Shop for certain meals, right? And people are going less to the stores. So going less, even so when they go, they spend less time in the stores. So what happened in the past that doesn't have now? In the past, consumers they would go to many stores, they get the tabloid discounts, they check the prices, and they see where they're gonna buy what and where, given the best opportunity of pricing and offers by retailers. And now they don't do that because they don't want to go out so much. They are still concerned about the COVID. So what changed is consumers now are searching more about the stores and learning more about the products online. So this changed. And so the whole companies, industries, and the whole retailers, they are shifting their business to online to connect with consumers. For example, WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a very huge tool now for a brand or for a retailer to connect with consumers. Secondly, what happens is consumers now they are what we call phygital. They are not digital or they're not more analogic anymore. So what happens is consumers now are buying online in stores something that he already knows the product, something that he sees as a good deal. Some people are even applying to rental to monthly fees products. The ones that you say, look, every month I want to have 3 packs of Omo, and every month I receive 3 packs of Omo, and I don't have to be concerned about that. So there is a very strong trend of convenience. People buying through convenience, spending less time, less problems, or less stressful process. But at the same time, they like to go out to see the stores. And now they go to the stores more to see what's new, to try out new things. It's not to buy what we call mainstream, things that they already know, they already buy every month, and they don't have to spend time on it. So what we see now, consumers are changing their behavior. And I think now it's more enriched process because consumers now have more options. You can find 20 to 30 stores online with one website, and you spend much less time that you used to when you went to many stores and get the tabloids, look at the prices and so on. So I think the industry and the business is changing a lot. And whoever doesn't adapt it to this phygital model, this phygital world we are living now, maybe we'll have some difficulties in the future time. Because what we say now is people are always physical, right? We are always analogic because you are a human being, you are a physical being, you are not digital. However, the digital brings you a higher and broader experience, which enriches your shopping behavior. And that's what's going on, and that's what the companies should look at it.
Yeah. And do you think that in the future it will be like a mixed system, like digital and physical, or
always? It is not the future, it's the present.
It's the present, yeah.
And if you see the consumers that are mixed, what we call like a hybrid consumers, right? They buy more, they consume more, and they buy more frequently. And what we see is, of course, after the COVID is leaving, you see in some countries like US or Europe, where people are already dealing better with the crisis as we are doing here yet, not where most of the people already got the vaccines. We see the consumers still are going to the stores physically, but they also are buying online. So some things we will buy online and some things we will not. It will depend of how much time you want to spend on the shopping process. It depends is how much you know the product you're already buying. And it depends on the urgency you need. If I'm here and I don't know, the light went out and I cannot cook, I'm gonna order something on iFood or something like this. I'm with friends and I don't know, the beer is missing, is out of stock. I'm gonna buy beer through iFood. So that's what's gonna be in every sense.
Yeah, thank you so much for your answer. I study a little bit like consumer behavior and customer experience, so have your opinion about it was very interesting. Thank you so much. Okay, now I would like to talk more about your experience in China. So as you said in your presentation, you live and work 4 years there. How was it? Why China? what are the advantages to live there?
That's an interesting story. I mean, I love my experience in China. I love China. My wife, she's a Brazilian girl. I met her there, but she didn't like so much. She didn't adapt so much to the culture. So I think that China, everyone that I meet and go to China or went to China or heard about something about China, they're gonna have like a different perspective, and I'm gonna share my perspective, right? Why did I go to China? Actually, it was kind of an accident, because by 2005, I lived in US when I was a young kid. I lived in the United States for a year as an exchange student to learn English. I was not so much a good student by that time, so I decided to go there and learn in US. And I love this experience of living abroad. And I always want to live abroad again. Then one day I was talking to my boss, and she said, "Theo," I was asking, "Oh, where do you think I should go? What kind of scholarship should I apply to?" And she said, "Why don't you go to China?" This was like in 2004. And I said, "China." And we don't hear so much about East here in Western, right? A little bit more about Japan by that time. And I said, "Why China?" And she said, "Look, China is gonna be a big boom. Is the future. You should try to go there," and so on. And by that time, China was still not in the news, right? China was growing, but we didn't know much about it. And I said, "Wow, China." And in my mind, I had China. The China picture I had was cultural revolution, Chinese people carrying other people in the back, so a lot of prejudice, by the way. But I didn't know anything. Like we don't know so much about Africa. We think about this, the giraffes and stuff. But I said, okay, if my boss said China would be interesting, maybe I should look for China. And my only comfort I had was like, actually two comforts in my mind I had. I said, look, by that time, I had studied international relations in college. So I want to always understand about different cultures. And I want to specialize myself in low income consumers. And I said, look, China, 2 billion people, a lot of low income consumers. So I'm going to learn something about that. And if I have any bigger issue or any problems, at least since I like martial arts since a kid and I practice Kung Fu, at least I'm going to find a Kung Fu master there and I'm going to spend 1 year training Kung Fu. So that was my comfort to say, okay, let's try China. And then I applied to Chinese government and I got a scholarship to live and learn about the culture. It was amazing experience. It was an amazing experience. First, because I was thinking about low-income consumers, and China is not about low-income consumers. The place where you have the most numbers of billionaires in the world is China.
China, yeah.
And it's the most growing economy. It's the second biggest economy now, and so on. I live in Shanghai, and when I arrived in Shanghai, I felt like I was in the future. It was amazing. So it was a big shock when I arrived there in that sense. Second, when I went to China in 2006, 2007, it still was not so much open to Westerns. There were not so many Westerns over there. So it was funny because people used to stop me in the streets to take picture of me. Brazilian people have more hairs in their arms than Chinese. So they used to take my arms and pat me in the face. It was so different. It's a so different culture. And then also what I saw there that was really interesting is that we have a lot of negative thoughts about China in the West, right? We talk about communism, we talk about cultural revolution, and we never saw China as a big country or as an important country as they deserved. And when I was there, it was funny because the way the Chinese saw us, they look at us and they see, look, China is the second biggest economy in the world. They won all the Olympics in 2008 when they were there. The Olympics were there, and I was there. The Chinese they created the paper bill, they created the gunpowder, they created what else? What else they create? They create rice. They created a lot of things. They were very innovative from that time. And I said, wow, I didn't know there was They created so much things. They were so innovative. And when I was there, one thing that amazed me the most is about development. When you think about Shanghai, for example, in the 70s and 60s, were all farm. And when you see that today, it's amazing. It's a megalopolis, a huge city. From 2007 until 2011, when I was there, we could see, it's the first time that we're talking about progress in Brazil, progress, but there you see the progress. It was amazing. Like when I arrived in Shanghai, there were like 4 metro stations. When I went back home, there were 12. When I arrived there, people stopping me and looking at me because I was a different Western, was very different physically. When I left, I was a normal person. So they changed a lot. And now and we talk about Chinese speaking and so on. And when I went there to China, like 2018, in Shanghai, many places were like Europe. The cars were stopping for me to cross the street. It doesn't happen here in Brazil till today. So it was amazing. You could see progress happening there. What we try to understand what it is in Brazil, there it happens. So it was amazing. I met people from all over the world, and I learned a lot over there. And I think it's an experience that everyone should have. It's amazing.
Good. And now, do you speak Chinese?
I already forgot a lot because in Brazil, very few people speak Chinese, and I don't know any friend of mine that speaks. So, and I didn't take classes anymore, so I forgot. But every time I go there, I get back and I get more fluent, and I can. What we are talking here today, I could speak in Chinese after 2 or 3 weeks in China, maybe.
And so, you said you studied there in China? You studied there in China?
Yes, I studied. I did a master's in Chinese culture and business, and then I did an MBA, master's in international business, and kept practicing martial arts.
It was in English. It was in English. The courses.
The courses were in English, but some classes were in Chinese.
Oh, okay, good. So it was like the both.
But 90% were in English. In Shanghai, you can survive easily if you speak English, like everywhere in the world, I think.
Okay, good. And how this experience in China help you in your current career or your current position?
It changed everything. First, because Chinese culture in China, they are digital oriented. Because Chinese, they have 2 things that's very important in Chinese culture. One of them is face, right? What we call about face. It's about your image in front of everyone, how people see you, and what's your reputation for the people. And the second is about China is a country where they have the communists, politically speaking, but they are capitalists in terms of economy. So when I talk about communists, the only thing that I saw that people learn through the many years and years that China had struggles in the past is about speaking openly, right? They don't have so much this habit of free speech and talking whatever they want everywhere because of the past they had. It's not that it's not allowed in China, but it's not into their culture. So they learn to talk to you through digital. They learn to talk through Weixin, through WeChat. It was amazing. Even it was amazing to me because few people talked to me at Unilever when I was working there. In the office where I was based, many people talked to me, but I didn't go to many places for offices for Mondelēz. And I remember like 1 year and a half or 2 years after, I went and visited one of our factories. And one woman that I never seen before, she knew about my blood type. And I said, how do you know my blood type? He said, Theo, everyone know your blood type. And it was amazing because my first day of working, cultural differences, in China is not so much polite. You ask if you are married, if you have children, because 2 billion people, not many people can have a children or have money to take care of children or marriage. So it's kind of, it's an issue there. But it's very normal to ask how much you get as income and your bloody type, because by blood type they see your personality and so on. And I didn't even remember, but I told them because I remember it was really weird question, but I said, well, it's culture, so that's it. And 1 year and a half, 2 years after, one woman, the middle of China, she knew my blood type, and she knew really well. And and that's when I figured out that Chinese, they have this kind of digital connection, digital relationship, and that's why digital is so strong there. And that's what I learned, and I got digital in China. My passion for digital, how to use it, was there. Second, I think in China, I got to know a lot of different backgrounds and people from Asia, people from Middle East, people from Europe, from America. We used to go out. I had a friend that he was a high investor, a billionaire American, and I had one guy from Saudi Arabia, which was a son of a sheikh, and he didn't want to marry many women as we thought. He just want to have one woman, and so many different backgrounds and stories. And I learned a lot about the world, about dealing with people, understanding differences, and respecting more different backgrounds and cultures. So this was the second thing I saw. It helps me a lot. And third, go to China is not easy by yourself. And when I arrived there, I didn't know any of the language. I remember the first day that I arrived in China, the airport, they lost my luggage,
Oh,
and no one in the airport could speak English, so no one could help me on that. And then I had only one business card for the university, and I give the business card to the taxi driver, and the taxi driver was written in what we call in pinyin, which is Western lettering. So the guy didn't understand. So I found somehow in the internet the name of the university in Chinese. I gave to the guy. I went to the university. It was a Sunday evening. In the Sunday evening, there was no one in the reception of the foreign exchange students room. So everyone just speaking Chinese. And I showed the woman my passport, my name. She couldn't find the book. And I look at the book, I didn't see my name there. I said, I don't know if I'm right or wrong. She spoke to me something in Chinese I didn't understand. The only thing she gave to me was a key, and she pointed a room. I said, okay, maybe I go to sleep here, and tomorrow I figure out what to do with my life. So that's the kind of things that happen many times in China. If you want to go to bathroom, it was really hard, and it was different ways. So it's a very huge and rich experience.
yeah. I saw some question in the chat about China. I think I will read some of them, or maybe the person who write it want to speak. Feel free if you want to speak. Like Daniel, I don't know if Daniel is here. Daniel, do you want to read your comment?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Theo. How are you?
Hi, Daniel. So, good. And you?
My question was, how many languages do you speak? And what is the most important benefit or advantage that speaking a foreign language provided to you in your work or personal experience?
Mm-hmm. Well, I speak Portuguese, English, Chinese, Spanish, a little bit of Italian because of the school I went to, but 4 languages mostly. And it's huge. It's huge. I mean, English is the most important one because once you know English, you know the world. If you want to know whatever work you have, whatever you think you are studying, you surely will find in English better versions, more updated news, or new things happening in the world. So if you want to make a Google research, I suggest you guys that you find you look for Google in US, that you learn much more about anything else that in Google Brazil or Google anything else. So learning other languages, it helps a lot to understand, and English makes a lot of difference. The other thing is that once you learn a language, you learn about the cultures, right? So when I learned English, of course, I could live in US, I could understand how Americans live. I went to China, I learned all about Chinese, and Chinese is very interesting because once you learn the language, you understand why people say things like this or like that. And the Spanish came up as a need for my work. Actually, I learned Spanish by listening. I didn't study Spanish. I had actually a friend that we shared an apartment in China once. He's from Bogota, and that's where I started learning, because he just wanted to talk to me in Spanish. He didn't want to talk to me in English or any other language or Chinese. And my work, I talk a lot with Latin America, like in Brazil e-commerce. We lead all the Latin America initiatives and e-commerce. We are the biggest country, and we are leading the Latin. And English is my main language within the company, because I'm talking to all the countries, and since I'm leading Latin America in Mondelēz globally, I'm all the time speaking English with everywhere with them. So I think those are the three main points that I learned, and it was really important for me.
Okay, thank you. And my other question was, which Kung Fu style do you practice?
Oh, great. I practice what we call Cholifa.
Cholifa. Okay.
Do you know Cholifa? Do you practice?
Yeah, I know. I practice praying mantis.
Where?
Here in São Paulo.
Yeah. Which school?
Yeah, I don't remember the name. And it was in Leopoldina, in Vila Leopoldina.
Vila Leopoldina with Sifu Guilherme.
Sifu Guilherme, yes. Sifu Guilherme. It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
It's one of the branches where the school where I practice.
Ah, great.
I come from the same school, but I practice in Butantã. But I also pray a little bit of praying mantis, but I do more Cholifa. Okay. And that's what it. Cool. You should go back, and we can meet and practice together.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Marcio, you have a question?
Marcio, I have a question.
Yes, hi, Theo. This is Marcio. How are you doing?
Hi, Marcio. Nice to meet you. Good, and you?
Nice to meet you also. So, I understood that the Mandarin is one of your languages. Is that right?
Yes.
And how long did you learn it in order, to be? I believe 1 year in China, and I couldn't, man. Huh? That was 2 years and a half here in Brazil.
You lived 1 year there?
Yeah, Shanghai.
In Shanghai. But did you study there?
Yes, I studied 2 years and a half down here in Brazil with a local teacher, with a local an executive that went into my office, but I never could. So, which was only the timing that you leave, or any other clue that you could give us?
Yeah, there are a lot of people that went to China and couldn't speak the language, right? And many people study here in Brazil, and when they went there, they didn't learn the language. I think that the difference was, since I got the Chinese scholarship, I spent like 7 months every day study to 6 to 7 hours a day the language. So I remember like the first 2 months was just saying the tones. Her, shi, chi, ci, ma, 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 ma. So it was like 2 or 3 months just to get the tones and the ears. 2 months, 8 hours a day, from 7 days a week. And we were like in a city called Jiading, which is a small city nearby. Well, in China there is no small city, but it was a smaller city nearby Shanghai. So there were no foreigners, no foreign restaurants, nothing, just us there. So this helped us to speak the language and learn faster. And after 6 months, I could speak and talk to the people in Chinese, but basics things. Then after, I did a lot of volunteers and I practiced Kung Fu there, and not many foreigners practice Kung Fu the way I used to practice. So I kept up studying and talking and speaking the language. But I think it's really hard for someone to learn Chinese, for example, from Brazil, because you have to practice a lot. And I think the hardest part is not the grammar, right? Because the grammar is, I think in the Chinese is the easiest. There is no male, female words. There is no plural words. I mean, it's very simple way. The way they talk is more like Indian talking, or like Master Yoda master talking, right? But to get the tones in the ear is tough.
Thank you, Theo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, by the way, because that was I tried a lot.
keep up, keep up. Don't give up, and maybe we can you can connect with me, and I can help you with this.
We never give up.
No.
Thank you so much.
Theo, you
I'm
said
here
that-
available to support you if you need.
Theo, you said that going to China was coincidental, was an accident. But if you could choose another country to move to, what would be this country and why?
Well, now the discussion I'm having with my wife and with my company is probably go to US or Europe. First, I think about the language. I think about my daughter. I think about my two daughters, and I think when I went to US, it was amazing experience. That's why when I opened my eyes to the world, in language, English language is #1 priority, I think, for everyone. So US probably would be something like this, and it's also very strong into digital world as well. My wife, I would go back to China, but my wife doesn't like. She doesn't want to be far away from family and so on. So if not China, US.
We have also, so thank you for your answer, Theo. So we have also a few questions in the chat. Victoria, she said that, are there a lot of opportunities to work in English in China? So if we speak English, we can have...
A lot of opportunities. Well, I mean, the world changed a lot since I left. And, but for example, many schools, I was working for this 1 year period that I was doing volunteer work and doing other things. Many times I was invited to teach English to schools for children. And there is a lot of opportunity for it because every Chinese, they learn English there. They should learn, and they are working hard on it. And English is the universal world language, right? Even so, Chinese is the most spoken language, but it's because of 2 billion Chinese speaking Chinese. But English is the universal language. So in the office, our main language in China was English. So there is a huge opportunity. I would say the opposite. If you don't speak English, probably won't have much chance in China.
Okay, thank you. We have another question of Alexander. He said, I never live abroad, but I wish to. What were the biggest challenges you faced when live in a totally different country and a different culture, actually?
I think the main challenges you may face first is cultural differences. So it's about politeness, about understanding what we think is right, maybe it's not right for them, and you have to understand that, right? So, for example, in a meeting with my boss, she asked me, she offered me a bubble gum. And in the middle of the meeting, I said, no, Vicky, thank you, I don't want it. For us, it's okay. If I offer you something, you don't want it, fine. But afterwards, after the meeting, she came to me and she said, look, you made me lose my face because I'm your boss and I told you something and you did not accept. So it makes bad for my image in front of my people. And I did not know. So every time she asked me for bubblegum, I go there. When we had meetings with customers and some food I didn't want to eat, like some kinds of animals and stuff, but I was in a meeting, and for us, what do you think like eat? Well, I would say it happened once, okay? It's not every time that happened, but one place inside of China, we had a very big customer there, and he asked us to have like a special Chinese food, and there was like some scorpions in the food. And of course, I would say I would not eat. You don't have to eat, but I said that for them it's something so important for that specific area that why not respecting and I ate the scorpion, and by the way, it was not a big deal at all. It was like a crunchy thing. But there are some things of cultural differences that you have to respect. You know, there is no better or worse, it's different. I think this is the main challenge you may face. And second, you have to deal with things by yourself, right? You are a foreigner, so whatever I do, if I have a problem here in Brazil and a problem in US or in China, for sure in China, US will be even worse than the problem here in Brazil. So you have to be aware of where you are going, how to deal with things. You have to know, you should maybe rely on yourself. Maybe you will not find help as you would like to. So it's different. And I think those are the challenges you may face. But at the same time, it's a great adventure. It's a great adventure.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
awesome.
I agree. We need to, it's completely, also for me, because I'm French and I'm living in Brazil, it's completely changed my life. And
Well,
I
for
encourage,
you,
yeah.
well, I imagine. I mean, people in Brazil are lazy. They're never on time. In Europeans, they go crazy with this. I mean, we say something that we're gonna do it, we don't do it. We don't say in the face sometimes. It's amazing. People get crazy with this.
Yeah, but I like it. That's
they have a good side as well, right?
Yeah,
the good part as well.
And I encourage all the people to live this experience also.
Yes, it's
and okay, sorry. We have another question. I think we will maybe finish with this one from Johnny. He said, which languages are most used in China beside English?
Well, besides English and Chinese, I mean, it's important to say that China, like many other countries, they have many dialects. And one dialect that's very strong there is Cantonese. So that it's so strong that in the south of China, the TV and many programs and in the streets you see people speaking in Mandarin and also in Cantonese. But besides that, I mean, I would say based on what I remember that we had, like I think the biggest community in China, if I'm not wrong, besides Russians and so on, I think it was German and Americans. So I would say like German is in French also. Also they had a big community of French in China. So I think German and French, many people would speak and talk, even more because of foreigners and companies, many French and or German companies besides American. But I think with English and Chinese, you do quite well. Mandarin, I think you do well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. And maybe just to finish, so you how can I say this? If do you have I don't know, because I'm pretty young. Do you have any advice for young people who want to work like you and in commerce or want to travel? Do you have any advice to share? I think it will be the last word of this meeting.
I think for people that want to work with e-commerce and join to the digital business, actually, by the way, e-commerce is going to be everywhere. Everything is going to be e-commerce. So it's kind of what we are in a age that we say we are in the digital transformation era. But within 3 or 4 years, it will not exist anymore. It's going to be only phygital. So the thing that I learned, and I think the main key to be a digital professional is about understanding people and their journeys, how people choose things, how people buy things, and why they do things like that. I think the main, we talk about in the world about customer or consumer centricity, and I think that's the main key. Let me give an example to make it clear what I'm talking about. For example, I work for a snacking company. So in the past, when we used to do innovation or a business, we say, look, we work with chocolate. So what can we do for chocolate that is connected with consumers, and we build a new chocolate company or new chocolate brand. Today, the world is very thankful to digital. Now the world changed a lot. So we ask more people, what do they want? And then after you find a way of what you will provide them. So different from looking at chocolate, what kind of chocolate we will give to consumers. The brands and the companies, they are looking at space. So for example, you can take iTunes, Apple in the past was like a computer and iPhone and MP3 company. Now they are music experience company. because they have the iPhone, but they have the earphone, they have the iTunes stores. You can buy music, you can sell music, you have the speakers. So they are in the music experience business and not more into computer or iPhone business. That's one thing that you changed. And I think if you want to go for e-commerce or digital experience, you should learn to be consumer centric. I think that's the basic of any kind of business now.
Yeah, and understanding people. I think that will be the last word of this meeting.
Yes.
Again, Theo, thank you so much for being with us. It was a great talk. I really like it. I hope the other people also like it. So thank you so much. And yeah, enjoy.
No, and thank you, Lilian. Thank you, Ale, and thank you, everyone. I'm fully available if you wanna, like, Daniel. No, it was Márcio, certo, Márcio? If you wanna still work on Chinese, let's convince Ale to create a Chinese program. I already told her that. I think there's a big potential here.
In our plan.
I think there's a big opportunity there. It would be great for to support and help. And I'm here available for whatever you guys want. Thank you for the opportunity. It's always fun. And
thank you so much. That was very inspiring. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.